We are here to issue our first reports in the new financial year that started on the 1st of April. Scheduled to release 3. We are only releasing 2. The third one is very different. All of the reports we are releasing today are about complaints regarding abuse or misuse of public resources for political electoral purposes. They also relate to allegations of failure to separate state and party, and what the complainants have referred to is conflation of state and party. The European Commission for Democracy through Law, known as the Venice Commission, issued in 2013 a report titled Report on Misuse of Administrative Resources During Electoral Processes. In that report, the Venice Commission said the following, quote, in Section 8(1) of the Public Protector Act of 1994. The report communicates my findings and remedial action I'm taking in terms of Section 182(1)(c) of the Constitution, following an allegation into alleged abuse of state resources to advance the African National Congress election campaign during the 2011 municipal elections, and the allegation of violation of state and party. Other complaints were lodged on the same matter, including one by the Congress of the People's representative, Mr. MC Makikane. The other complaints were lodged by ordinary members of the public during the Public Protector Stakeholder Consultation dialogues from 2012 onwards. These new complaints went further to allege improprieties beyond the conflation of state and party. Their allegations included corruption in the award of tenders and other contracts under the Operation Hlasela program. This the court confines itself to alleged use or abuse of state resources to advance a party electoral campaign under the Operation Hlasela and related activities. It also addresses the allegation of conflation of state and party. The main allegation was the following, or rather the main allegation had the following components. A. Operation Hlasela is a Free State provincial government program marketed by the Free State Premier as such. B. Large amounts of money are invested into the program by numerous government departments. C. The Premier, Mr. Makashila, is praised by the President, Mr. Zuma, for the government program. D. Operation Hlasela is merely an anti-election campaign under the pretext of provincial government departments' campaigns and programs. E. A truck drove around with photographs of Mr. President Zuma and Premier Makashila, and a message saying vote ANC and Hlasela on it. And he provided some photographs on this page. This amounts to abuse of state resources for party political purposes and conflation of state and party. On analysis of the complaints and information already in the public domain on the matter, the issues investigated were the following. A. Did the Free State government abuse state resources to advance the National Congress election campaign during the 2012 municipal elections? Did the Free State government implement Operation Hlasela in a manner that amounts to conflation of state and party? C. Was any person or political party prejudiced by the conduct in question? When the investigation process was conducted through correspondence with relevant parties, meetings and interviews with the complainant and relevant officials of the department, as well as the sourcing and analysis of all relevant documents. All relevant laws, policies, and related prescripts were considered for the purposes of establishment with regard to the conduct of the Free State government in the circumstances in question. Key laws and policies taken into account to determine any abuse of state resources to advance a party's electoral campaign and conflation of state and party as alleged were principally those setting the standard that should have been upheld by public functionaries in the Free State government regarding proper use of public resources and those relating to the requirements of a free and fair election. I took into account that the conduct of the Premier of the Free State in respect of Operation Hlasela and to comply with Section 136 of the Constitution, which prescribes minimum ethical standards for members of the executive. Section 136 in particular prohibits acting in any way that is inconsistent with the office or exposing yourself as a member of the executive to any situation involving the risk of a conflict between your official responsibilities and private interests. the regulation or end result of the election. With South Africa being a signatory to applicable international instruments seeking to ensure democratic elections, including ensuring equality of opportunities for all electoral candidates and electoral parties, it is my considered view that the conduct of the Free State government had to comply with the objectives and spirit of the international standard-setting frameworks regarding free and fair elections, with particular emphasis on the prevention of misuse of public power and resources by any person or party to gain electoral advantage and or to induce voters to act in a particular way. In this regard, Article 25 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, provides, among others, the following. Persons entitled to vote must be free to vote for any candidate for election and for or against any proposal submitted to a referendum or plebiscite, and free to support or to oppose government without undue influence or coercion of any kind which may distort or inhibit the free expression of the elector's will. Voters should be able to form opinions independently, free of violence or threat of violence, compulsion, inducement, or manipulative interference of any kind. Of course, the part that is important in the circumstances is the part that talks to inducement and influence of the voters using state opportunities. By the time the investigation commenced, it was common cause that the Free State government was implementing a program referred to as Operation Hlasela, which was widely referred in the speeches of Premier S. Hlasela and others, as well as advertised in the Free State government's website, newsletter, and other communication avenues, as a vehicle aimed at accelerating service delivery, particularly with a view to combating poverty and enhancing housing service delivery. For example, in his speech to the Zion Christian Church Mass Prayer in Bloemfontein, 19th March 2011, Premier Hlasela said the following. In our State of the Province address 2 weeks ago, we reported on the progress we're making to improve the living conditions of our people through our new service delivery strategy dubbed Operation Hlasela. Operation Hlasela is our new strategy that puts the poor at the center of key development interventions. We launched Operation Hlasela shortly after we took office in 2009 to improve and fast-track service delivery. Operation Hlasela is a clarion call to all our social partners and civil society to collaborate with government and to jointly and urgently eliminate application wastage and eradicate poverty, to tackle underdevelopment and to stimulate our economy to improve the lives of people. Hlasela Bufona, I don't want to insult you. I think I'm gonna skip this part with your permission. The Premier continued to say the following after saying a few things in succession. We call on the Church to partner with us as we attack poverty and fight criminal elements in our society. Operation Hlasela offers an opportunity to work together with our social partners to bring about real concrete change in the lives of our people. Through Operation Hlasela, we are working with the private sector. For example, we have launched a program with the Netcare Group, which operates the largest private hospital in South Africa. He also proceeds to say the following at the end of the statement. Operation Hlasela is the concrete manifestation that this ANC-led government is truly a caring government which responds faster to the needs of the poor and the vulnerable in our society. The Free State branch of the ANC had also communicated about Operation Hlasela, including through a statement issued by the then ANC Provincial Secretary, Sibongile Besani, on 17 February 2011, which stated, among other things, that, quotes, Operation Hlasela is a government program that has embraced the ANC 2000 election manifesto. Close quote. She proceeded to say, Operation Hlasela articulates our manifesto in the best way understood and accepted by Free Staters. As you can see, both government and the ANC communicated about Operation Hlasela at different times. What would be clear there is that there was no distinguishing that there were two Operation Hlaselas. At the commencement of the investigation, I had a meeting with Premier Ace Mahashule at his instance. This meeting, which took place on the 28th of October 2011, sought to discuss the nature and funding of Operation Hlasela. Premier Mahashule clarified during that meeting that there were two programs using the name Operation Hlasela. He explained that one was a government service delivery vehicle, while the other was a private initiative seeking to reinforce government efforts primarily aimed at housing delivery. He considered that the logos and colors of the two Operation Hlasela were the same, resulting in confusion. He accepted that this was improper and accepted advice to change the name of one of the programs. Soon thereafter, the private initiative was changed to Friends of the Free State, while the government program retained the name Operation Hlasela. I'm grateful for the cooperation of Premier Mahashule and the steps taken to remedy the problem we both identified at the commencement of the investigation. Secondly, in the response to the notice served on Premier Mahashule on the basis of Section 79 of the Public Protector Act, advising him of evidence implicating him as Premier and the government of the Free State regarding improper conduct relating to Operation Hlasela, Premier then denied any wrongdoing regarding Operation Hlasela and specifically denied that the ANC got any advantage from the private Hlasela program, or that there was conflated branding of Hlasela. I must indicate, though, that I have since spoken again to the Premier, and he is accepting that there was then a conflation of state and party, and that it was fixed after we had the discussion and agreed that we can't have the two programs operating as if they were one. The Premier had never denied that the Hlasela name had at the time been used for both the private ANC endorsing Hlasela and the official program of the government of the Free State, or that a Hlasela branded truck with his and President Zuma's photographs and a message saying vote ANC was driving around during the 2011 local government elections. While the Premier made a valid point that the government of the day has a right to take whatever lawful action it deems necessary, it is inevitable that progress made by the government of the day regarding service delivery will be attributable to the governing political party. His contention that the ANC could not be legitimately said to have benefited from the conflated Hlasela branding was, in my considered view, rather weak. I must just indicate, though, that we wrote this part of the report, or I wrote this part of the report before we had the final discussion with the Premier conceded that he's sticking by the original concession he had made, that at the time there was a conflation of the two brands. Having considered the evidence uncovered during the investigation and the Free State government submissions against the relevant regulatory framework, I make the following findings. Regarding whether the Free State government abused state resources to advance the African National Congress's election campaign during the 2011 municipal elections, I find that there's no conclusive evidence showing abuse or misuse of state resources to advance the ANC's electoral campaign during the 2011 local government elections. B. Evidence reveals that at the time the complaint arose, there were two Hlasela initiatives, one called Operation Hlasela, which was an official vehicle, a service delivery vehicle of the Free State government, driven by the Premier. The second Hlasela was a private Hlasela fund funded by private individuals, including civil servants and civil society entities, to support the state Hlasela initiative. As I've indicated, based on the advice I gave, the private Hlasela fund was renamed Friends of the Free State, and also runs its programs as Friends of the Poor. See, the private Hlasela initiative openly endorsed the ANC's electoral campaign and had a truck driving around during elections saying vote ANC during the 2011 local government elections. D. Although no state funds were used for the private Hlasela initiative, state platforms and communications channels were used to advertise and load Operation Hlasela. Section 136 of the Constitution, Section 195 of the Constitution, and the spirit of Article 17 of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, governance, and Article 25 of the ICCPR regarding whether or not the Free State government implemented Operation Hlasela in a manner that amounts to conflation of state and party. I find that the allegation of conflation of party and state is substantiated, regardless of intentions, and separate ownership as well as separate sourcing of funding for the two Hlaselas. The branding and marketing of the two was indistinguishable, and the two were marketed and loaded in government platforms. The arrangement not only confused the public, regardless of what activities are government sanctioned and funded and which ones are privately sponsored. Government itself used state communication resources to promote and praise both without always distinguishing between the two. Until the two Hlaselas were distinguished in terms of their names, the private initiative cannot be said to have not benefited from the shared branding and the free advertising of the government's Operation Hlasela at state expense. Again, regardless of intention, I cannot help but conclude that the undermining of fair play in the electoral process was inconsistent with Schedule 2 of the Electoral Act, Section 136 and Section 195 of the Constitution, as well as the spirit of Article 17 of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance, and Article 25 of the ICCPR. Regarding whether any person or political party was prejudiced by the conduct in question, I find that A. Other political parties and independent candidates were indeed prejudiced.